Coming up this week on the Nintendo Directors Podcast, we give you the definitive ranking of the best final boss battles of all time, give our retrospective review of the soundtrack for The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, talk about a whole bunch of exciting new game announcements for Switch, and more.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Brad.
We're two middle school band directors.
And you're listening to
Nintendo Directors. Hello, greetings, and welcome once again to another Nintendo Directors Podcast. This is
me.
Episode. I am, and potentially listeners, if they're out
Question
there.
Mark?
Yes, if you're out there. We'll talk about that in a second. But it is this is episode 3029, and it is the year August, or it is the year August. And man, by
sometimes
the way,
it feels like
but yes, it is marching band season again already. So words will be difficult for Brad and I going forward for the next few months. But
yeah, we had 3 takes on the opening here. So
we did, yeah. We're teetering on perpetual exhaustion right now. But it is August 23rd of the year 2018 when you'll be getting this. We are actually recording on a different day, whatever the date is today. It is today, and it's a few days before. It's Sunday night, August 19 is when we're recording, and so if there's any news that breaks between now and then, then you'll know why it is not covered in this episode. Yeah. Anyways, by the way, I'm Mark Lego, my co-host here, Brad Beyer.
Hey there.
We are two band directors, and we are in the middle of we're at the beginning of marching band season, so. Yes, it's great. It's good really times. Fun. It is. It's a lot of a good thing. So, especially right now with Bandcamp stuff. So, but yeah. So, anyways, you can find us on basically anything you could listen to things on. So, if you get podcasts on any streaming service or anything, I bet we're there. So, but what we'd really love is if you'd go review us on iTunes. If you could do that, that would be awesome. I know a number of people have, but you only get visibility on that once a number. I think it's like 10 or 15 people have actually. Reviewed you. So if you want to do that, that'd be fantastic. You can also write in and be part of the show at Nintendo Directors Podcast at gmail.com. We would love to answer your questions or help you out with relationship advice.
One of those two.
Or both.
Or both.
Preferably not any questions about video games. So we're really good with relationship stuff. So
that's right.
Just a reminder that we are an every other week podcast. We post on every other Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, give or take. And that's a long that's a long time getting through this intro. So let's get into some good important things. So on with the news. The news this week is brought to you by Ace Pitcher Yo-Yos. Bashing snakes and slugs has never been so fun. Get yours down at your neighborhood Mike's Market today.
Today?
Yeah. Well, it's a little late. It is. It's almost tomorrow. But then it would be today then. It'll be today on Thursday when you're getting this, which is the date that I said earlier that I've already forgotten. So, and today is today's date, whatever that is. And I think it's the 19th. 23rd is when you're listening to this. Let's move on to the news. Brad, why don't you take it away?
All right. So basically what we've got here is sort of a smattering of different stories that are all kind of centered around just games coming to the Switch. So we'll start with some of the smaller ones, and then we'll kind of spend a little more time on the bigger one. Bigger ones, I guess. The first one is kind of a cool announcement. I think Mark's excited about this, especially. Yes. Child of Light is coming to Switch.
Woohoo.
This is announced in a video from the developer. This was one of those UbiArt games from 2014.
It was originally released on the Wii U, or at least for Nintendo consoles.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really nice little RPG. It had, what was it? It was the like Shakespeare-like poetry and stuff. So pretty cool. So not only is that coming to Switch, that's coming on October 11th, but in a sneaky way, the developer also sort of confirmed Child of Light 2. So essentially there was a piece of paper in the background, right? Piece of paper in the background of the video that just clearly showed it was like a title page for for Child of Light 2. So that's pretty exciting, right?
I'm very excited about that because I actually played Child of Light. I think I got about 5-6 hours into the game. I can't even remember what it was that grabbed my attention and averted my gaze, but I'm actually really excited to see this coming to the Switch because I would like to play this and to be able to do it portable on the go. I think I might actually finish it because it was really enjoyable and really nice to look at too. So, and Child of Light 2, that's great.
Yeah, and it's a shorter RPG, right?
Yeah, I think it's only supposed to be 10 or 15 hours. So I was probably like a third to a halfway through the game. So
cool. And then the other announcement, this follows suit with the UbiArt announcement. Basically, Valiant Hearts is also coming on November 8th.
Cool.
And this actually has me really excited as well. I really adore the style and the artwork and the heart of that game. I played probably at least half, maybe even 2/3 of it on PlayStation. It came out on PlayStation
Did you
Plus.
enjoy the Valiant heart of that game?
It's terrible. I see what you did there. That was real bad. That was band director and
really,
dad worthy right there.
It was.
So it's really, really beautiful game. And I never got to finish it because I think that was when. So my PlayStation account was hacked at one point.
Oh man!
And yeah, so I kind of lost everything that I had on there at that time. It was either that or it was just that my PlayStation account ran out, or my PlayStation Plus thing ran out. I can't remember which, but anyway, I definitely want to try that, and it's cool that it can be on Switch. So that's a quick announcement. So if you're into Valiant Heart or those UbiArt games in general from several years ago, this is for you. So another exciting announcement. This is from Bethesda. And basically everything on here has been confirmed by IGN, by the way.
Yep.
So Doom Eternal, which was announced at E3, very, very cool. I know, Mark, you're probably very interested in that.
Very much so.
Yeah, because you played the first one a lot, the 2016 version a lot, I guess. But the big news about this is that it is not only coming to Switch, because we knew that, but, well, I guess that was a more recent announcement, but that it is coming day and date to the Switch.
Yep.
Which is huge. It was a huge deal.
Yes, it is.
The fact that we're not just getting the retailered,
right? 3 years after release.
Afterthoughts of oh yeah, we should probably put this on the Switch too. So this is, certainly, I think it's the first time that Bethesda has ever released a game originally on a Nintendo console, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely. I think you're absolutely right there. I can't think of another one.
As a first release.
So
that's awesome.
That's really good, and that's really encouraging that, that Doom sold well enough for them to say, yep, get it out there, get it to the Switch owners. That's encouraging on many levels, just like I hope every developer sees that and it says, okay, let's do that.
Well, and maybe even if Doom didn't sell so well, I'm sure they sold a bazillion copies of Skyrim again. So
yep,
that cash cow, man, that's giving them everything they need.
I might play it at some point. We'll see.
Yeah, me too. Not really. Not my kind of game. All right, so another game that is reportedly basically confirmed at this point. Again, not like confirmed by Nintendo, but basically the rumors are swirling and they're really just like sources were like, yeah, it's coming. Is Super Mario Brothers U?
Yeah.
From the Wii U. This was obviously one of the first games I owned on the Wii U. Did you buy it?
Oh yeah. I thought it was a lot of fun. In fact, I thought I saw it. Maybe it wasn't. I thought I saw that it was confirmed.
Was it 100% confirmed?
Maybe not. I don't know. I might be making.
I don't think so. I think I was looking through the article. It's like basically. They've just had multiple sources confirming that this is happening, and it would make sense. Obviously, Sounds like they're going to be combining, the Luigi U DLC that they added to it, and there's a possibility. There's some people who are apparently saying that there's a good possibility that there might even be some totally new content for it as well, which would be kind of neat.
That would be really cool.
So maybe this will be like the deluxe version of Super Mario Bros. U. Honestly, it was okay for me. I didn't fall in love with it. I did finish it, but I probably would be more inclined to play it on Switch, just because it's a 2D Mario game, and we don't have many of those right now for another month at least until we get some Mario stuff through the NES games and the online service. But this would be a good one to just kind of mess around with here and there.
Right. I can't remember where I saw. I thought for sure I saw it was confirmed, but I'll stop searching for it. But that I played it through as well, and what I loved about it was you had it was a side-scrolling Mario game with a true overworld, and a really, really nice looking overworld too. So
and there's definitely some very standout levels in that game for sure.
That Picasso one, or what was? Van Gogh. It was Van Gogh.
The Star.
Yeah.
Starlight or
Starry Nights.
Starry
whatever
Night,
it is. Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then of course another little game was officially announced this week.
Just a little
Diablo
one.
3.
Oh yeah. That was such a good video too with Reggie and Mike.
That's how it was announced, right?
Yeah.
What's his name? Mike
Morhaime?
That's how you say it?
I don't know.
CEO of Blizzard, right? They kind of did a little joint video where they officially announced that Diablo 3 is coming to Switch, and it's the full, complete version of the game with all of the later DLC that they added, and everything. So, tell me about your experience with Diablo, Mark.
Okay, my experience with Diablo is that of envy. Back right around the end of high school for me, the beginning of college was when Diablo 2 was sinking its teeth into a lot of people. And a couple of my friends had it, and I've actually never played a Diablo game, but I have watched a lot of Diablo 2, and seeing that the few times when one of my buddies would die, and the anguish on his face as he's like, that person's gonna get all my gear. I'm gonna lose all my gear, and so anyways, that game has always been very intriguing to me, and I was actually watching that announcement trailer with my wife Allison, and we had just finished 9 Parchments recently, and she's watching it. She's like, "We should play this." And then as soon as she said that, they showed the couch co-op, and I'm like, "Yes, I'm playing Diablo finally." So I'm really excited to play Diablo 3. So
that's cool that she was into it. Considering the aesthetic and
she's like,
all that stuff.
I mean, after 9 Parchments, I think she was, and I have been as well, but she's been looking for another game kind of like that to be able for us to go into. So yeah, it'll be great.
I think the only game I've ever played like this was maybe Gauntlet on 64.
Yeah, yep. Was that Gauntlet Legends?
Yeah. No, wait. Was that the 64? Or was that the GameCube? No. Is it GameCube? Yeah, I think you're right. Gauntlet Legends. That sounds right.
Yeah.
I just remember playing that at a buddy's house, and there were 3 or 4 of us playing. It was fun.
Yeah.
But they were much more into it than I was. Way more into it. And of course, it's just mindless fun anyway. But this is obviously a much deeper game as far as I understand than something like Gauntlet. But yeah, coming. I think it's coming. Well, they didn't give it a specific release date, but it's coming this fall. So. Yeah, more good stuff.
Post-marching band treat. So
right, for sure. Let's see what else we got. 2 more quick things here. I just kind of threw this one in there. We'll go back to the Smash thing in a second. But The Messenger. You heard of this game, Mark?
I have not.
You following this game at all? So, gosh, you really need to check it out. It's coming out August 30th, and it is basically a mix of Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania, and it's made in a traditional 8-bit style. And it looks like it's something to be right up your alley, and it's gotten a lot of buzz from just the gaming press and from people around. I don't know. It looks pretty interesting. It looks very difficult.
I'm getting it. I'm looking at pictures right now. I'm getting it. Okay. So we'll have a review of this game in a few weeks for you.
Yeah.
This looks really cool. I've totally seen this. I don't know what. Maybe
it's probably in a Nindies Direct.
Okay.
A while ago.
Yeah, I'm getting it. I'm getting one. Sorry. It comes in. It comes on the Switch.
It comes in pints.
Yes.
Oh yeah, right. I got you.
Yeah. Oh, that looks cool. That'll be good.
Very good.
Sweet.
Awesome. And the last story we're going to focus on today. This is just an interesting deep dive for you Smash Brothers fans out there. This is again via IGN. Basically, Smash Brothers fans have been digging and digging and digging in some of the screenshots from the recent Smash Direct that we talked about last episode, and they are pretty certain that the grayed out or pixeled out section of the title screen that they wouldn't show us in the Direct is called Spirits, and it will be about saving Luigi's soul. You may remember in the Direct, they inexplicitly just murdered Luigi. and all of a sudden his ghost starts leaves his body. And yeah. Now they were quick to say Luigi's not dead. Okay. Quote, Luigi's apparent demise, has led fans to believe the game's unannounced single... Oh wait, I skipped a part. Basically, Nintendo confirmed that he's not dead, and then they went further into the story. This is, again, from IGN's story. Luigi's apparent demise has led fans to believe the game's unannounced single-player mode will see players rescue characters who have had their souls taken. Twitter user Noctulescent, sure, that was via Eurogamer, has pieced together the pixelated main menu image from the main menu that we saw in the Direct, which appears to read, quote, Spirits, in both Japanese and English broadcast, in the broadcast. Fellow Twitter user Lootpots constructed a mock-up of the menu, giving an idea of what it may look like. So, it's what I'm speculating, or I guess what I would imagine, is that this is the major single-player portion of the game. Or at least, like the Subspace Emissary type single-player thing, because I think in the rest of the menu was pretty standard stuff. Your traditional Smash, your online, your options and settings and stuff, and I can't remember exactly what the last one was, but
or maybe the single player game is a nod back to Spirit Tracks, and you're just like a train engineer
rolling along on the countryside.
Just looking at things.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what this would look like, but so long as it's not as... Maybe I'll take heat for this, but so long as it's not as bland and generic as Subspace Emissary, I'll be very happy.
Yeah. Yep.
Subspace Emissary, let me be clear, my buddy and I 100%ed that, but I wouldn't say that we had, lots of fun.
There's a bit of regret in your voice, so...
Yeah, basically.
Could have been playing something else.
Yeah. So, anyway, they just keep really, more stuff comes out about that game literally every day. It's nuts. So, love it though.
Yeah,
it's great.
No kidding. That's going to be a great way to have some time off of work in the holiday season, is playing some Smash.
Perfect. Yeah. Right. It's like a week before school gets out for the Christmas break. It's awesome.
I'll be taking that last week off.
Yeah. Nice.
It'll be great. All right, cool. Well, so that's the news, and next up we have our list. This week's list is, well, you'll hear it in a second. It's the top 5 coming up. All right, we're back with our top 5, and our top 5 for this episode, as hinted in the intro, was top 5 final boss battles. And these final boss battles. These are usually in a good game. They're usually memorable, but we're going to try to pick out the ones that are the most memorable. So
the most.
Yes. We're gonna go through our honorable mentions, and I'll do mine right now in quick hitter fashion, because otherwise I could wax poetically about these for hours and hours, because these ones are all great. But so my honorable mention, the first one, I'm already gonna have people probably turn us off, but that's okay. My first one from honorable mention is Lavos from Chrono Trigger. I know he's not number 1 on my list. It's not number 1 on my list, but whatever. Come at me, fight me. It's a good one, but it's not in my top 5. Next one would be Red Falcon from Contra, the beating heart thing, and that's after. Oh, it's a really cool moment.
With the original Contra?
Yes. Yep. Yep, the original Contra.
So I've never actually played a Contra game.
Oh, really?
Can you believe it? Yeah.
Oh, man, we'll have to change that. Like, we really do. But
yeah, for real.
Yeah, so Red Falcon from Contra. And then my next honorable mention would be Zelda from Star Tropics. I love that game. And I'll have to do an in-depth retrospective on that later. But so Zelda from Star Tropics. Then also Ganon from Breath of the Wild. It wasn't that difficult when I faced him based on how advanced I was in the game, but it was just very epic, very, very epic and great. But
not that I'm speaking from experience, but
right. I'm not going to give any teasers. I already did. It's Ganon. Sorry.
Oh, dang it!
So
ruined it.
And then my last
240 hours down the drain.
I know. I guess it's time to sell your Switch. So my last honorable mention, and this is a bonus top 5. It's top Bowser battles because I couldn't
probably
pick.
Should have saved this, but whatever.
Yeah, I know, but that's
you're good.
Yeah, it might change the next time. But so my number 5 would be Super Mario Brothers 3 with the bricks. So my number 4 would be Super Mario World, kicking things up at him. Number 3 would be New Super Mario Wii, which was the side-scrolling level where he was enormous. That was so cool.
With the big button.
Yes.
At the end, right?
The big button. Yep. And then my number 2 would be Super Mario Odyssey, which that was a really great battle and a great ending. But then my number 1 is going to be on my top 5, so I'm not going to say what my number 1 would be, but it is on my top 5. All right.
Awesome. Speaking of Dusty Diamond's All-Star Softball, oh wait, we weren't. The final boss of that one is just
actually. See, oh man, I might have to put that in. Okay, that's another honorable mention of mine is the Amazon team from Dusty Diamonds because they were so good. It was so hard to beat them. Okay, there, Dusty Diamonds made it into the episode. Go ahead, Brad, with your honorable mention.
Success. All right, we can go home now.
Yes, indeed.
No, so. Okay, so I only have 2 honorable mentions, and one of them is from Super Mario Galaxy 2, Bowser in that one. And what I really liked about that one was just that it's the really cool mechanic where you get those spheres, and then you have to like butt stomp them right back into Bowser. And it's just but they're like little spheres and stuff that you can run around. It's pretty neat. A good aiming mechanic.
I liked the first half of that battle better than the aiming of the spheres part. Where
really? Like punching where you run around the...
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a great one, though.
And then my other one would be Ganondorf from Twilight Princess.
Spoilers, I have never played that one, so...
Well, it's just... there's like 4 phases to the fight, and each one truly does get pretty epic. And the last one especially... Again, we're not going to spoil it for Mark because he is a slacker.
You can spoil it. I've seen it. So.
No, it's basically, you're in a ring of fire and Ganondorf's just like, he's very formidable and you get to use a lot of your special tactics and stuff, and so it's pretty cool, and the music is killer.
Yeah, cool.
So,
all right, so that's our honorable mentions. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here. This is the top 5, and for me, my number 5. Is Shredder from TMNT 2, the arcade game on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Did you ever play that one?
I sure did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you're trying to find the right one, and you're constantly... It seemed like you always guessed wrong. But
the only time I ever was able to beat that game was when we used the Game Genie.
Oh, man.
we never beat the game by ourselves.
It was so hard. So many tough levels.
Such a hard game.
And right before you fight Shredder, you fight Krang. And I remember in the Nintendo Power... they had a guide to that. Krang had more hit points than Shredder, so he took quite a beating. And then you went straight into the Shredder battle, and he constantly is splitting and having mirror copies of himself out there, and you're having to fight and guess which one is him. Oh man, so hard.
I remember the Bebop and Rocksteady fights in that game. Those were great.
Yeah, really good. Yep.
Side note: do you remember that awful jazz class that we had to take, where you had to do a group presentation on Bebop?
Yes.
You put Bebop up.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Oh, good times.
That was such a fun class.
Great class.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Always nice when the professor shows up on time for the exam. All right, moving on. We'll talk about that later off the podcast. All right, number 5 for Brad. Go ahead.
My number 5 is My number 5 is Hag 1. If you've never heard of Hag 1, that's probably because you've never played Banjo 2E. Not just Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo 2E. And this was a great fight because, Gruntilda, the evil witch in the Banjo-Kazooie series, she has this big, like, drill dozer tank-like thing, and it's the thing that she fights with, and obviously, and there's lots of good platforming elements, there's lasers going along the ground there, and you're trying to avoid those, and she's got this big, spell that she tries to throw at you and everything, so there's a good amount of, like, skill that goes into it, but my favorite part of that fight was where you get to, you have these eggs that you fire in Banjo 2E that are called Clockwork Kazooie eggs, and essentially it's a little robot, tiny little robot version of Kazooie that walks around, and then when on command you get to explode it. And so one of the cool things is once you kind of stun her, then there's a little gap in the back of her vehicle there, and you throw one of these Clockwork Kazooie eggs in there, and he walks in the tiny little vent that goes into the electric battery chamber room, and you blow up one of the batteries, and that's one of the cool mechanics that you have to repeat a couple times and do it. And so I just thought it was really clever and fun to fight.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yep.
All right. Number 4. My number 4 would be the Cyber Demon from Doom 2, and it's I guess it counts as a final boss because I know what the final level is, and anybody that's played that game would say like the final level is the final boss where you've got to shoot the rockets into the little gap in the wall. But that I'm going to say that the Cyber Demon is the final boss because I can do this on a technicality because the secret level 32, which was actually in the way the levels were numbered, level 30 was the last level of the main game. There was 2 like Wolfenstein inspired secret levels, 31 and 32.
Okay.
And 32 you had to fight a Cyber Demon at the end, and there were probably 5 or 6 Cyber Demons scattered throughout the game depending on the difficulty level. But hearing that metal hoof land of the Cyber Demon and then seeing the rockets just fly out of its bazooka arm, that thing it tormented my dreams. It was, as a kid, it was like the most frightening, awesome display of power. And when you could take one out, it just felt so good. And my friend Randy, who was one of the founding members of the video game cover band I'm playing with Power. He lives in South Korea now, but he got so good that he took out. He got to the point where he could take out a Cyber Demon with just a chainsaw, and then went a step further and learned how to take it out with just his fist. And it's like he's like, yeah, it took about a half an hour, but you can do it. So,
dang.
Yeah. Anyways, so the Cyber Demon from Doom 2 is my number 4.
Wow. Okay, so my number 4 is going to follow a similar theme to earlier. It's Ganondorf again.
All right.
But from a different Zelda game, and obviously Nintendo is well known for the great ways that they, make variety and differentiate their games. And so the Ganondorf fight in The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker is very fun, very unique, very epic, and you have to go through this series of fights with sort of his Phantom Ganon person in the different various forms, from the snake that goes around the room to the spider thing to I forget what the other phase is, but the puppet. I think I did this out of order, but basically you do that, and then you climb this ridiculously long rope to get up to the very, very top area where you fight off against Ganondorf himself, and it's this fantastic sword battle, and of course Ganondorf is totally decked out in like these double samurai swords, and you're just like Link doing your thing, but it's a great use. You have to use the parries that from your combat fighting, and honestly, I really think out of all the Zelda games, maybe even Breath of the Wild included, I think the combat in Wind Waker is the absolute most satisfying.
It's really good.
It's really, really strong.
It feels tight. It just feels yeah.
It feels incredibly good, and it's even like musical. There's a musical element to it. It has those little the chimes that tune as you go along, and I don't know. It's just very engaging, and it's not super difficult, but it's also kind of somewhat skill based too. So, and then of course the finale of that fight. Well, the game's quite old now, but then so Link defies his cartoony like nature and just like skewers the man.
Yes,
through his head.
Right in the head.
Oh man, it's brutal.
Face, right in the head.
And so that's pretty epic.
Getting vicious. Yeah. Sweet. All right.
Pretty exciting. So that's number 4.
Number 3. My number 3 is Bowser from Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii.
Perfect.
And
great game.
Yeah, you mentioned Galaxy 2. I could have chose either one of those. I went with one. And the level, I think what won it out for me was the level leading up to it, where you're like working your way down that tunnel towards the
Galaxy Reactor.
Yes, it's so good, and you get Bowser's Road music, and it's just perfect, and everything about that boss battle feels just grand and epic, and it's what that game demanded, and it absolutely delivered. I mean, the whole game feels epic compared to any Mario game you've played before that, and then when you're getting to the end, there's it's not anything you're aware of, but if it hadn't been that epic, it would have felt like a letdown based on how that game built to that. And then it's such a good boss battle. So Bowser.
Can we just take a moment to remember, like, Mario Galaxy like blew everyone's mind. Like, it totally revolutionized the series again. And I think it's just a phenomenal example of Nintendo doing what they do best, and just giving, it's still platforming, but that gravity mechanic and the insane amount of ways that they use it and the challenges that they build on it is just an incredible game.
Yeah.
Incredible game.
I think they could totally re-release an HD of that on the Switch in a couple of years, after give Mario Odyssey its time and moment.
Oh yeah.
And
definitely should.
Because Odyssey's absolutely amazing, and maybe a better game. I don't know what to say about that. I'm torn, but
better game
than Galaxy.
Galaxy 2, you said?
Galaxy or Galaxy 2. I don't know what.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what's better, those or Odyssey. But
I see. Then Odyssey,
let Odyssey have its moment, and then, I mean, you've got the Joy-Cons. It's perfect. You can totally do Mario Galaxy on the Switch. So, anyways, that's my number 3.
All right. Awesome. My number 3 may be my number 3 may be a little bit of a game that you wouldn't necessarily expect, but it's actually, I don't actually know the name of the creature or the character that is the boss, but it's the alien leader from Beyond Good and Evil. Did you ever play this game?
No, I did not.
Oh man, it's a super solid game. It just really endearing characters and really excellent kind of mysterious story. Very, very engaging. They've completely ruined it with the Beyond Good and Evil 2. I will never play that game. I hate it. But even though they haven't really shown gameplay yet, I just hate the aesthetic that they created with the opening trailer. Anyway, I digress. Beyond Good and Evil, the original, is a fantastic game, and the last boss in that game is really, really clever because, again, you're fighting this alien. It's basically the queen alien, or whatever you want to call it, and of this alien race that's basically taking over the world, and so you're trying to save the world, of course. But what I really like about this is that you get to use a lot of your traditional fighting mechanics that you use throughout the game, but then there's a really interesting part, like in maybe the second or third phase of the fight, where all of a sudden the boss does something crazy, and all of a sudden your controls are reversed. So everything that you want to do, you have to do backwards. And so you're trying to, and so it's doing the same moves it was doing, but you have to be able to get in that extra hit or two with your controls reversed. And I thought that was a brilliant little twist of fate there. So definitely they get props for messing with your head a little bit.
That's cool. Sweet. All right, number 2. My number 2 is Mike Tyson, a.k.a. Mr. Dream in later releases. Mike Tyson from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Did you ever play the original Punch-Out?
Played it, never beat it.
No, okay. Did you ever get to Mike Tyson?
Nope.
I knew the code to get to him. I could enter the code faster than anybody like on my street. It was almost a mini game in and of itself, like getting that code entered in. But that you'd get so I played Tyson a lot and got to the point where I could beat him way more than I wouldn't. But that was a lot of pattern recognition to get to that point, and a lot of memorization. And but it always felt good when you get a good a knockdown on him in the first round, and that was always a good feeling. But then later on, you'd realize like, oh, I don't want to, Anyways, I don't want to get too deep into the strategy of it, but it was the first minute and a half of that fight, he does these uppercuts that knock you out in one hit. So you've got like one fraction of a second of a tell from him before he does that, and it's like a little stutter step and like a blink or something, and then he's knocking you out if you're not quick on the dodge, and you can sneak one little poke of a punch in as a retaliation. Don't get greedy because he'll block you. But yeah, man, such a great fight, and just hugely rewarding when you could finally break through and knock out Mike Tyson. It was like a badge of honor that you could wear in your neighborhood. So, yeah.
Did I read somewhere in the last year or so that they just found a new tell for one of the bosses in that game? Like it was actually some dude in the crowd that does something weird.
Yeah, that's right. There is some. There's one little member of the crowd that does make some kind of face or something that they changed right before. I always watched Tyson. I think his feet or his face. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, that's right. There is someone in the. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that's right.
The article had made it sounded like that was only the first time that anyone had ever found that, but that's probably not the case.
I remember reading about that and seeing a video about that recently as well within the last year or two. So yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's cool.
That's cool. All right, so that was your number 2. My number 2. We're back on the old train here. You heard of this guy named Ganondorf?
Back on those Phantom tracks, or Spirit tracks, or Spirit Hourglass, whatever.
Sorry, I think Nintendo does good. They done good.
They do.
But this is Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. And the reason why Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time is so special is, he has different phases, but you just use a lot of it. They show you lots of clever ways to use the equipment that you have. So in that fight, of course, you have the iconic Ganondorf fight mechanic of the playing tennis with Ganondorf and his light beam things, his attacks, which is always epic. And it gets faster and faster and faster. And it's really exciting. Which you can do with an empty bottle, which is hilarious. But yeah, even just doing it with your sword is pretty great. And then you use your hook shot to go over to him, and you start slashing away, and you start seeing all that green blood popping out of him. Not the red blood; they took that out. But so then you do that, and then you gotta as soon as he gets up from that, and you gotta use your hook shot to get you like. I don't know what the logic on this is, but you use your hook shot to go over to glass. Like you hook it onto glass, and you just come back over. So you do that several times, and then he does this other attack where he gathers all the energy from the room and throws it at you. So you have to do a different kind of attack for that. But that's always just a great fight. And then he throws the whole building down on you when you think he's dead, and so there's an escape sequence, which is always great,
Oh yeah.
And so you're running down this tower, trying to escape, having to fight off enemies as you go, and then you finally escape the castle. The whole thing blows up and falls down, and then you're left in this big open space, and then it's still not over. And he turns into the giant pig, and you get to use your hammer, you get to use your sword, you get to use all kinds of cool things. So it's just truly, like, honestly, because I've played it so many times at this point, it doesn't hold at the same significance to me as it did the first couple of times I played it. But man, what an epic fight! Just fantastic stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, full disclosure, or just a quick edit from earlier, you were talking about Ganondorf, Twilight Princess, and I said I hadn't played that. I was actually looking at your number 2 at that point of Ocarina of Time. I haven't played the final boss of either of those, but I've actually only seen the final boss of Ocarina of Time because I've actually played Twilight Princess. I'm just not at the end of that yet. So,
oh, okay, right.
If that's confusing for any listeners who know our history, but whatever. That's
yeah. You're good.
Cool. All right. Now it's the moment everyone's been waiting for, the moment where they get to be upset with us for leaving their favorite boss battle off of our lists. But
that's what we do.
Yeah,
that's what they pay us for.
Yeah, we're here to crush dreams. So number 1, my number 1, and this is going to come as a huge surprise to a lot of people. The Amazons from Dusty Diamond. No. And actually, when I see your number 1, that should totally be on my list somewhere, but whatever. Here we go. My number 1 is Kefka from Final Fantasy VI on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. That battle is... I could say so much about it, but I'm going to be as concise as I can. It's perfect. It is perfect. And the way, the phases of the battle, the way you work your way up this tower of monstrous beasts and then up to the supposed divinity of Kefka, and you get to crush him, and it's so good. And I think we talked about this maybe on when we were with did that retrospective of Final Fantasy VI with Nintendo Dads, but talked about the music in it. There's every other Final Fantasy final boss. There's like this prolonged speech from the main villain, and there is, and Kefka does a lot of talking, and he's truly insane. Earlier in the game, he does a lot of talking, but when you get to face him in this game, there's very little dialogue in the cutscene before you go into the battle, and then there's like almost no talk. I don't think there's any talking the rest of the time. And there's this really great article that I want to direct everyone's attention to, which would be, it's on Destructoid.com. If you just do a Google search for Final Fantasy VI Dancing Mad, and then if you want to add a critical analysis, because it's this person that did this in-depth analysis of that and talked about how the speech is actually the music in that final battle, and you get little things that harken back to earlier parts of the game in it, and it's so epic and wonderful, and it's why Final Fantasy VI remains, number 1 on my list, tied with Breath of the Wild for best game ever. After all these years, it just holds up, and that final boss battle is just perfect. So that's not my number 1. That's my number 1 is Kefka from Final Fantasy VI.
Awesome. Cool. And now for the best one. This is of course, from one of my favorite games of all time. It's Metroid Prime from Metroid Prime.
Yeah. And it should be on my list. I don't know why it's not.
Metroid Prime is just a phenomenal game, and again, the subject of the game is this hugely mutated and just like enlarged. It's a hard. How do you? I don't even know how you describe it. It's this ginormous creature, and you have to fight against him in this huge room. But what's really special about this fight is, number 1, it's very difficult. And so it's challenging, but not unfair. And you get to use all 4 of your different types of beams that you've collected throughout the game, and he switches them. Like he switches them on the fly. So you may be like charging one up really strongly, and then all of a sudden it'll switch, and you'll be too late. You're like, crap. And then there's elements for your morph ball, because there's like rolling tracks that go underneath.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so you really have to be quick on your feet and agile. But the coolest part of this fight is after all that part, and you get to the last phase of it, and then you come in. Basically, the shell of this Metroid Prime kind of goes away, and you're left with this really glowy, creepy Metroid Prime core, or whatever you want to call it. Metroid Prime. Is it core? I don't even know. It's
sure.
this floating head essentially. And it's got all these tentacles and stuff, but it looks really, really cool. And it's basically just using up all the Phazon in the room to attack you, but you get the phase-on. You get like a phase-on upgrade for your arm cannon, and you get to do this crazy attack on it that just makes your screen shake, and it does tons of damage, but it's just super super satisfying. And I cannot think I've ever felt more accomplished in finishing a final boss than when I finished the fight with Metroid Prime.
Yeah,
it just totally blew me away. It's fantastic.
Yeah. It is an unbelievably great game. And what a great end. I don't know why it's not on my list. Okay. I feel awful now. Thanks, Brad.
You should. Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here for. That's destroying dreams, right?
Yeah, that's what we do. We're in the business of that. All right, so that's our top 5 list for this episode. Please shout angrily at us in comments and emails to us about why we're wrong. But we're right, so whatever. Get over it. We're going to move on now to what we've been playing. All right, what we've been playing. Brad, why don't you take it away?
Not a ton. I've been doing some. I've been continuing to play some more Picross. Picross S2, which is super fun. I love just, at the end of a gaming session of a different game, I'll just pick it up, do one puzzle. It takes 10 minutes maybe, and then put it down. It's great. Really makes you think, really makes you work hard for the progress that you make. Excuse me. And it's very accessible if you've never played a Picross game before, as I hadn't really officially, besides a little bit of the Twilight Princess Picross. So there's lots of options to help you out, or you can try to play it blind and not get any help, which is also cool. Also played a little of Death Squared, which is pretty neat. It's a little different than I thought it would be. Basically, I don't know if you've seen Death Squared, but it's the one with the multicolored cubes, and it's a puzzle game where you have to navigate all these cubes and buttons and stuff, and it's made to be played multiplayer, especially up to 4 players. I played it with just one friend, and we got through probably about 30 levels in the story mode. I think there's about 80 total, and we had a good time. It gets pretty difficult pretty quickly, but I guess the thing that I thought was a little weird about it is obviously these are cubes that you have, and I just thought I saw it in video footage before, but I thought it would just be like you're cubing around, like the cube turns going from one face to another, and then you'd have to move like that, but you don't. You just kind of like slide along the ground. There's square spaces all over the ground, and there's blocks that move up and down and all around, and switches that do all the things. But yeah, it's just a fun little puzzler.
Cool.
Just a little different than I expected, which is cool. Also been playing some more PS4 stuff. I finished the God of War the new 2018 God of War. Super fun game, very good story, and I'm near the end of Horizon Zero Dawn, which I've had for probably about 10 months now. I've been borrowing it from a student. Sorry, Jace. I am going to finish it and get it back to you when the school year starts. Okay, maybe not that long. Maybe more like 8 months. But either way,
long enough.
I'm gonna finish it. It's.
I think it's yours now at this point. But.
I got my name on it. I got. Isn't that what you do when you borrow a game? You write your name on it, and then your friend can't get it back.
That's right. It's mine.
Right. Yeah, I think my problem was that I just wasn't entirely compelled by the combat early on, and I wasn't getting into the story is. I wasn't at the good part yet, so I stuck with it a little bit longer, turned the difficulty a little bit down because I just didn't care and wanted to experience the story. And now I'm really enjoying it, so I'm getting towards the end, and that's what I've been playing.
Cool. All right. I've been playing Octopath Traveler.
Really?
More and more of it, and it's so good. It's so good. I'm probably halfway through the game right now. I'm at the 30-hour mark, and it looks, based on what I've been reading, it's about 60 to 80 hours. So I'm at the halfway point, give or take, and it's I don't know what else to say about it. It's such a good game. So I've been
Are you still liking the battle system and still not feeling tedious?
Yeah. No, it doesn't feel tedious. It's good.
Okay.
Some of the boss battles, I've been in a boss battle that took me about 35 minutes.
Wow.
But like it still felt satisfying, and like I really like it. I've been able to talk to I've been like out doing street evangelism for it. I've gotten a couple other people to buy it and get into it.
Nice.
The high school director at Northview, Greg Wells, his student director from last year, Josh Martsky, was working with our marching band camp, and I told him about it, so he got it.
Nice.
I think Lucas Kerr got it as well, or he's going to get it anyway. Anyways, it's so good. So I've been playing a lot of that. I've played a little bit more Splatoon 2, which is always fun, always good. I just wish you could skip past the opening news segment, but whatever. That every time you get into the game, you have to watch these two people talk back and forth, and I don't care what they say. I just want to play the game. But it's so.
Is there
good.
more content still coming to that?
I don't know.
I should know this, but
I should too. I know there's Splatfest coming up. I don't know if there's any more. I think it might be done with new content.
But they'll still do Splatfest, I think. They might be done with new content. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
They just did the Octopath expansion thing. Have you done any of that?
Oh,
not the Octopath, the Octo expansion. Yeah.
Like, whoa. Tune with that.
Right? Oh, that'd be an interesting.
I don't know how that would work.
They'd be an interesting crossover there.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
they become one of your summons, and all of a sudden you just paint the enemies with your ink.
No damage, but they're colorful now. So
but they look cooler.
They do. So yeah, I've been playing more Splatoon 2. I've also gotten into a couple of games on my phone. Hole.io, which is just dumb, but whatever. It's mindless fun, and it is wholly disappointing though when you find out that you're playing against bots and not other people. So, but I've played a little bit of that. I also have been playing a game called Sorobo.
Wait, they told you they implied that you were playing against humans,
but then seems
you
like
you're
playing against humans when you first start playing it, and like,
okay,
and you're definitely not. So, but the other game I've been playing on my phone is called Sorobo, Sorobo. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Sorobo, but it's all one word, Sorobo. And I've found out about this from my cousin, who was in town for his father's funeral. My uncle, his funeral was a few weeks back, and great guy. And but his son, my cousin Joe, he's been living out in the Seattle area for the last like 20 years, and I've only seen him once since he moved out there. One of his sons, I think it's Caleb, he's been making games, and he made this game called Sorobo, and it's actually a really clever little game where you're just shooting balls that up with numbers on them, and it's kind of like billiards, but like the ball has a number on it, and it needs to collide with another ball of the same color, like the number of times on the ball. So maybe I think it's 3 is what it starts at, and then once it's gone down to 0, it disappears. A really simple little game, but really clever and fun. And he's actually, the reason I'm bringing this up is because he's an intern at Nintendo right now, and a paid intern, been doing really well. And apparently, the people at Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Japan have said that they would like him to stay on. So
awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So anyways, just a little shout out to Caleb out there. Caleb Clonparent's killing it with the Nintendo and Sorobo. You should check it out. It's a fun little game.
So
it's free.
What he needs to do is he needs to propose the Kirby crossover Sorobobot.
Yeah. Or make a Dusty Diamond remake. But
that too.
Yeah. So last thing I've been playing is a board game called Gloomhaven, which if you want to know anything about board gaming and you want to not feel intimidated, don't listen to me talk about Gloomhaven. Don't go get Gloomhaven. Don't even research it. It's a $130 game at its cheapest, which is ridiculous. But it's and then it comes with so many components that you need to get a storage solution for it. And so I bought the Broken Token is the company, these wooden inserts that you glue together and everything, so that everything is organized in its own little special place and makes setup a lot faster. It's an amazing game, but it's like thousands of hours of content. It's a legacy game where you're putting things on the board, stickers, and like ripping cards up that will never be used again. And it's just really interesting. There's a lot of choose your own adventure elements in it, and it's a great game. So I've played that with my friends. I spent so much time preparing for that because I put so much money and resources and effort into this game that I didn't want to have them not like it. So I made sure I knew that game, which is, if you're a novice board gamer, you need to, if you want someone to like the game that you like, know how to teach it. Because if it's a dud at the beginning, nobody's going to want to play it. So, yeah. So anyways, been playing Gloomhaven. So anyways, yeah. All right. So that's what we've been playing.
That's it.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, next up is our soundtrack retrospective for Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. What a great game!
Excellent.
I've read more negative things about it in the last few years. Almost like people are using hindsight to say like it's not that great, but I think it's a really good game.
It definitely was sort of, I mean, the thing that you always are going to hear the most probably is that the opening hour or two of the game is just super tutorialized and very hand-holdy, and people don't like that. But generally, this has an incredible amount of dungeons that are all very high quality.
Yeah.
There's lots of, there's some good open areas there that are fun to mess around in and just, explore, and some cool characters. So
it spawned a really, really, really good mini game. They were like $10 to get Link's crossbow training. Oh. It was really good. It was a lot of fun. So, anyways,
that's right. That plastic attachment there.
Yeah, you didn't need to use that at all. Just, but the rest of it was really good. So, all right. So
there's definitely good stuff in there.
Yeah, let's get into the soundtrack though. So.
Yeah, so we've picked, obviously there's a gazillion things in this actual soundtrack, but we tried to pick a few highlights. Spoilers, we like it. It's good.
Better than decent.
The only thing, better than decent. The first one that we're going to take a look at here is basically the field theme from this game. Every time you step out into Hyrule Field, there's a different theme for each game usually. So this one, let me pull it up here real quick. Is a very good, and we'll talk about in just a second. Give you a little sense of what it's like. So I think there's some really great orchestral writing that goes on in this piece. Good use of different sections. There's a cool oboe solo later, and some great horn parts here you're hearing.
One of my favorite things about this theme, it feels like it makes you feel important, as a lot of Zelda themes do.
Yeah.
And what I also loved being in the Hyrule Field at night, and you get that totally different feel of the music, and it's got like those kind of haunting sounds, and then anytime it would turn to morning, and you get that little bird chirping flute.
Yeah,
it's like, there we go. All right, back in the day. It's just great.
I distinctly remember like really loving this tune, and then I'd be going around in the game and in the field, and I would always get frustrated when I would come to an enemy, because then the enemy music would start playing and it would destroy this. What's going on?
100% agree with that. That was
my only real, like, what I don't necessarily love about this is that, well, it's more of a problem with the game itself, is just that it's not orchestrally performed, and it's all MIDI. And man, it would be so much better if it was fully orchestrated. But you can get the fully orchestrated version if you listen to the Zelda 25th Anniversary CD that was released with Twilight Princess, if you have that. Yep. It's part of a compilation of, it's a symphonic movement, I guess they call it, from that CD. So it's just a kind of a small excerpt of this, but it's well done. There's some great playing going on there, and so I would definitely see, if you really like this, check that out for sure. Sure.
All right.
That's that one.
So the next one is one that I don't know if I've even heard it in game as far as I've gotten or not. I may have heard it once, but it's gorgeous. I've listened to it a number of times in the last few years. Midna's Lament.
And you told us about this one. That was in our top 5 Zelda tunes, I think?
Yes.
A couple episodes ago?
Yes. Yeah, so I've put this one on, while I'm typing up a paper or whatever, just doing planning for school. Like, it's just I just really like it. I love Go ahead.
So it reminds me a lot, actually, of if you've ever been beginning to intermediate piano student, the Bach Prelude in C.
Sure.
These just the broken chords that are written out. Very, very similar kind of style. And I like, obviously you have the melody in the other hand there, but these broken chords that they play up and down are very cool. And then it's very reflective, very kind of mournful. But there's some short moments of hope, and I don't know if I can't remember exactly where it is in here, but suddenly the chord changes to a major tonality, and then but it's like 2 measures, and then all of a sudden it changes back.
Yeah.
This is more of the B section. I think I missed it earlier, but in fact I think it happens like 20 seconds in or something. Let me run back just a second here. So we go there. There it is.
Yep. It's so good.
And then it goes back right to and 5-1. Yep. So there we go. And obviously, this is just a beautiful tune if you know the character of Midna in Twilight Princess and her kind of overall role in the story. There's a richness to that in her character that there's a lot of different types of emotion. Even though her character is kind of spunky and kind of to the way she talks to you. Ultimately, again, if you understand the rest of the story, which Mark doesn't, you'll kind of understand why this is appropriate. So, but it's a great. I think this is what plays, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that when you're first in the castle, when you first turn into a wolf, or am I thinking of a different song?
That seems right. That seems right.
Okay.
So.
Then we'll call it right.
Yeah.
Gonna go with it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's wrong. All right.
The next one is an update on an old tune. It's the Sacred Grove, and kind
of similar in many ways to the last one.
Yeah. It's almost like it was written by the same person.
Almost.
But yeah, this is I like reading Brad's show notes here. Peaceful, calming, and meditative setting for Saria's song, Lost Woods theme. So, and that's it's perfect.
And it's a good thing. I like to say this is a good thing that this song is so reflective and just kind of calming, because the Sacred Grove can be a just annoying section to play through. Really annoying.
It was incredibly irritating for me.
But what I really like here is that they use the ocarina and a couple other instruments, particularly the ocarina for one melody, which is obviously reminiscent of Link and from Ocarina of Time and other games. And also this weird distorted trumpet thing.
Yep.
So here's the
Oh.
Here's the ocarina version, and then you can hear the trumpet coming in.
Yeah.
But it's a cool little duet kind of feature, because obviously those are the two main characters in this whole section of the game. You, Link, and you're chasing this Skull Kid guy.
Yes. Oh, it's so annoying. It's so annoying.
But did you hear that the undertow there, that kind of ominous build up there? So it's deceptively complex. There's just a lot going on there, but it's a really, really nice theme like that.
Yeah.
All right, and we've got 2 more. One is let's see, jump down here. This is, as we mentioned earlier, when you finally get to fight Ganondorf in Twilight Princess. There's multiple different, sections of the fight. This is from the very final part of the fight, so the fourth stage of the battle. And what I love about this one is that it has some excellent percussion effects right out of the gate. I'm trying to figure out what they're like hitting on there. The like almost metal-y kind of drums. I'm trying to see here. But anyway, this incorporates the Ganondorf theme very well in a couple different forms. But you can hear that rhythmic ostinato in the background. And I notice, I'm pretty sure, I guess you could technically say 3/4, but I think the bigger beat is written in 6/4. And it kind of actually has like a Mission Impossible vibe to it. to me.
Sure.
With that lyrical melody on top of it, obviously, but I really kind of dig the groove of it.
Really excellent impression.
Yep. And then the Ganondorf theme comes back again. And it just keeps a little modulation there, and it keeps going up in pitch, and it just keeps getting, it totally sets the tone for exactly what you're doing, this epic fight with Ganondorf. So it's great.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about that?
No, yeah. I'm just excited to get to the next one.
Oh, yeah. This is great. This is the Malamart.
Malamart. Oh, that's perfect.
Because...
on loop. All day.
Because Japan.
Just keep that going.
We got to get to the vocal part.
I would love to hear this sped up as well.
Right?
It's just perfection.
You just don't need a reason for this because it's great.
Any reason is a good reason.
Any reason is good.
This needs to be everyone's ringtone.
Right.
This needs to be everyone's alarm.
My favorite part right here. What is going on?
This was the composer getting a little excited working with inside like Fruity Loop Studio and just like making the weirdest things they could make.
Oh, man.
Keep it going.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, this was the only time you actually heard this in-game. Was it every time that Malo had his store open, or was it just when you kind of there's the store in Hyrule Castle Town that after you like save the world, or after you like help them, like you save their store essentially or something like that, then all of a sudden they're partying and having a good time and you can buy the magical armor? Well, maybe you haven't done that yet, but that's the first time that I remember from hearing this theme, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah,
totally crazy. I also remember a couple of years ago they put this music as the background music for the Wii U eShop. And I remember turning that on and just being like, oh yeah, I know where that's from.
You need to just keep this going. Usually we play the theme to the Versus Victory of Dr. Mario on the NES. This is going to be our outro music today, so just keep it going. Right?
We're going to run out of music here in a second, but
no,
we can restart here.
Yeah, restart it.
There we go. So anyway, folks, that is our soundtrack retrospective of Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. We hope you've enjoyed it. We like it. Mark, what kind of score would you give? Would you give that?
Oh man. Let's give it 10 soggy potatoes out of 3 mouths.
Oh.
Yeah.
Soggy biscuits. Okay.
No, soggy potatoes.
Oh, soggy potatoes.
Yes, even better.
Even better.
Yes. Just because of Malamart, so.
Gotcha.
It's a great soundtrack, is what I'm saying.
Basically. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, that brings us to the show wrap-up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. And like I said, we did some of these things earlier, but that's good. It's good to do it both. We would love if you would like to be part of the show. You could write into Nintendo Directors Podcast at gmail.com. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Google Play and Stitcher and all the things. YouTube. You can find us on our YouTube channel. It does post there. We are N_directors on Twitter. And we are tired and ready to go to bed, but that's about it. And I may or may not have to get up early for professional development.
Fun. I get to be developed professionally on Tuesday, so.
Oh, great.
Yay.
Good times.
Good times indeed. All right, well, that's it.
School year's coming.
We will see you. The next time we'll talk to you will be in September, and we will be in school at that point. So.
Good times.
All right.
All right, folks. We'll see you later.
All right. Take it easy. Bye-bye.